Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, Mark from Rams Up here. Wanted to do a quick reaction to this fun preseason game. We just saw Rams 13, Cowboys 12 at SoFi. I got Paul Wally on board. Did you have as much fun as I did, Paul? That was for a preseason game, 13-12, one touchdown scored. That was a heck of a lot of fun, I thought.
Yeah, it was fun. It was you can't ask for anything better than a last-second win.
Yeah, and what we're going to do for this episode, let's just focus on the good stuff we saw, and we can highlight a couple things that concerned us if we want, but I wanted to focus on the good stuff because there is plenty of it. Don't want to overreact to a preseason game, but there was a lot of things I liked, and it was funny. I was watching this game with my son, and we were just having a good old time watching Stetson Bennett going for the record probably, and that last drive, we were just, we were almost comically expecting a fifth interception. And I turned to him and I said, hey, let's pretend this is the end of an NFC championship game instead of a preseason game. And then he comes through with a beautiful throw. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Stetson Bennett off the bat here. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I think, obviously he had some real issues with certain types of throws. But, I at the same time, I had a kind of a good feeling at times about how he was playing. How'd you feel about Stetson Bennett?
Well, I mean, up until this point, what do we know? So they drafted him. A large part of that was the intangibles, right? The leadership ability, the mental makeup, understanding of the game. So I think from that part of it, we've seen that. The part that for me that really stands out is number one, he still looks awfully small out there. So the first thing I think I texted to you was he really needs to get into the weight room, get into some type of nutrition program. And, if you take a great example would be somebody like when Drew Brees came out at Purdue, he was definitely on the smaller side, but by the time, he was like at his peak, you saw he looked like an NFL quarterback. Stetson looks like really, really almost frail out there. His mechanics were not good, and all his interceptions were in the middle of the field. So either he's not seeing the field well, he's not throwing to the proper windows, maybe the just the arc on his ball, maybe he's throwing it really flat. That tends to lead to a lot of interceptions over the middle.
Yeah, it's good. I know what you're saying here. I was watching the game and I said, he doesn't even really look like an NFL player. But say what you want about this performance. I feel as good as I can about a rookie quarterback that just threw 4 interceptions. As good as you can feel about it. I mean, he made a play at the end. He made some good throws too. Moved the ball with his legs, and he looked like he was. Unlike Trey Lance, he was stand in the pocket for the most part, and that's what I think you want to see from rookie quarterbacks, second-year quarterback technically. But hey, the next guy I wanted to talk about, and again, you don't want to overreact to preseason game performances, but man, and I've been talking about this guy for a month. Does Jordan Whittington look like the real deal or what?
Jay Witt, when he got drafted, that's what we said, right? His kid was a 5-star recruit running back. Despite all the injuries, he showed the character at Texas where he was still voted team captain, one of the team captains, I should say. So, I mean, you see that every catch, he did not go down in first contact, that yak ability. The same thing we saw at Puka. And that's, to me, that is a telltale sign of a great offensive player, is how they finish. Even DeMarco Farr commented on that. Are they falling forward? Are they fighting for extra yards? Are they securing the ball? All three. That's what you saw the tenacity after he got the ball in his hands. So a lot of positives there.
Yeah, and he would have been pushing 100 yards except for that one that got called back. So the other guy that I thought really stood out, I got about 10 guys here I'm going to do quick hits on, and we'll talk more about all of them later on. But a guy that, we kind of take for granted, maybe kind of a boring player at times, but he really stood out. So that's Jake Hummel. If
Great.
we're, yeah, really good in coverage, made some big tackles.
Yeah, he looked great. That's what he's out there for, right? The one thing that really stood out for me was the pass coverage ability, right? He was instinctive. He knew where to, like his zone drops were phenomenal. His reaction, the way he closed on the ball and on the ball carrier was great. So from that aspect of it, yeah, he looked great. He looked really, really fluid and instinctive.
Yeah, and one of the guys I talked about in my game preview that I think the Rams need to step up and contribute as soon as possible is Tyler Davis. And Ian's going to get back to us after watching some film. I think that film is going to tell us he had a really good game. Now, there are a couple times where he was unblocked. They didn't bother blocking him, but he seemed to show up on a lot, didn't he?
So let's see how many times I texted you about, I call him D-Day Davis, Taylor Davis, right? 5 times, right?
Yeah.
Because remember what I said a couple of podcasts ago? I said they got to get him off the nose. This kid can run. This kid can get after. Give him opportunity to come off the nose and show off that quickness and that ability to get into the backfield. And we saw that today. And also, he's tough as nails. Remember his collegiate career at Clemson doesn't get talked about enough. It was a really impressive career, and when he got drafted, the coach all he did was rave about this kid and everything he's done at Clemson. So I think that was a real find for the Rams.
Yeah, and I think it's, a lot of people talk about, Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk, and the assumption that I take away from a lot of people, I think our defensive line is squared away, but we're a little thin there. We're going to have to rotate some guys in, and Laurel Murchison, Tyler Davis, Corey Durden, all those guys are going to have to contribute, or we could be in trouble against the run. Let's talk about this offensive line as a group, because the last week or so, all I've been hearing is, well, we had the injuries, obviously. And then the second string guys, the guys filling in, were just, from what I heard, just not playing well at all. And Sean McVay threw 5 guys out there for almost the entire game: McClendon, Curry, Bruss, Zach Thomas, Bo Limmer until Limmer got hurt.
Yeah.
He pulled McClendon a little early and put someone else in. Now, I wouldn't say that they were opening up a gaping holes in the running game, but I thought they did a really good job in protection, again, against mostly second stringers, I think, as well. But got to feel a little bit better about the possibility of one or two of these guys being a legitimate backup offensive lineman. Do you feel the same, especially Limmer?
Yeah, so I thought McClendon, to me, was the most impressive lineman today. McClendon looked great. He looked like the player that they drafted, right? He looked like he can play guard. He looked like he could play tackle. He was consistent. He got off the ball well. He looked strong out there. Bo Limmer is as advertised. That dude is a beast. That kid is going to be an absolute monster. So it was great to see him out there. That's one of the exciting things about preseason, right? Unfortunately, he got hurt. I'm hoping it's something minor. I was surprised how much playing time he received today, just because of how thin they are at center. So it's going to be interesting moving forward. McAllister got a lot of the reps in the third and fourth quarter, and he didn't look like the same player. But if you saw Bo Limmer out there today, he was moving people. He was firing off the ball, and he didn't look like a rookie.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what Ian has to say about Logan Bruss. I didn't see any I can't say that I saw especially good or bad from him, but if Logan Bruss can bounce back and make this roster, man, that'd be a pretty big deal.
Well,
Hey,
you know who else had a very positive but quiet game that nobody really mentioned? AJ Curry.
I knew you were going to bring him up. I know you like
I
this
love
guy.
him.
Yeah.
I love this guy. So, you could definitely see, he still needs to work on his pass protection, but, like I said, you didn't hear his name called in a negative way, right? So that's a good sign. But you definitely saw when Dallas, threw some speed out there, he definitely looked like he was a step behind. But everything else, he was mauling it up in the middle. So that's a really good sign. I think he's gonna be a good depth player for the Rams.
Real quickly, just touch on Joshua Cardi. At least he passed this test. Uh, I was pretty nervous on that extra point at the end there, but he got it done. So we'll move on with Joshua Cardi, and hopefully we'll get in a position where he can try some 48 yarders and such.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action. Make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
The one thing that really impressed me all game long, and we could talk about a bunch of different guys, I'll call out a couple, but our edge rushers and defensive line were harassing Trey Lance from start to finish. I mean, it was pretty impressive. Now, part of that could be, and it's hard to, again, we can rely on Ian's input on this. Maybe our coverage team was really good as well. Maybe Trey Lance is not finding open receivers. I know there was a couple where he clearly did not see open receivers, but given all of that, Nick Van Valkenburg, Nick Hampton, Van Valkenburg, Deshaun Johnson, Tyler Davis, all these guys, even Corey Durden almost had a sack there. We were harassing, we were winning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball for the most part, especially our defense against the Cowboys offensive line. Any specific players you want to call out in that regard?
So yeah, we talked about D-Day Davis. He was definitely the star of the day, no question about it. Powerful, quick, tenacious, and running down the line and getting in on tackles. Durden really impressed me. You talk about improvement from one year to the next. So playing the nose, he looked much, much stronger. Oh, listen, he's still not going up against the cream of the crop on the other side, but still, he looked much stronger. Much better gap discipline. He's definitely put on weight. There's no question about it. Looks much sturdier in the middle. So definitely a shout out to him. Your boy Keir Thomas played well today.
Yeah.
Right. He held down the edge and got into the backfield. And Hampton, you got to shout out Hampton. Hampton just shows why people want him to make this roster. The speed, the ability to come off the edge is there. He was close on a couple of sacks. So a lot of positives there. And I agree with you. The D-line depth is something we definitely have to monitor because Murchison got hurt today. So, we said that was already an area that probably needs to get sort of filled out. But now if hopefully it's something minor, but if it does turn out to be something significant, they're going to be down another player.
Let's see, who else can we talk about? The 2 wide receivers, Xavier Smith and Tyler Johnson, both had moments. And I guess we really can't be too surprised about that. But Rams are going to have some tough decisions with that wide receiver group. They're maybe just going to keep all these guys, Xavier Smith, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell. But they both played well. And Cam Kinchins, we've been hearing a little bit about him bringing the wood in the secondary, and we saw that a couple of times, right?
He loves to play downhill, right? That was his scouting report. This kid, he's a thumper. He knows how to make good big plays. He's very disciplined. And McVay's comments were he's always in the right place and he knows how to make plays. And we saw that today. He was only in there for a little bit, but this is a kid that when they drafted him, we were all excited. because his film. He just jumps off film, and they're going to have a very interesting scenario in their secondary for the regular season. It's going to be really, really fun to watch how it plays out, particularly at the safety part of it.
Yeah, and speaking of the secondary, Sean Jolly and Jalen McCullough both had moments. Sean Jolly, another guy that we kind of forget about. Maybe it's just me, but he looked really good in coverage a couple of times. Yeah,
Jolly, rock solid. He's been in the NFL, right? So
right.
You saw that he's getting more comfortable probably with the scheme. He's happy probably to be getting regular reps. So that's a big part of it. And McCullough, the kid from Tennessee, I mean, you got to see his size. Remember when they drafted him, he was sort of like, a pick that nobody really talked about, but he played well in Tennessee. Good size, good physical tackler. We saw that today. So in the Rams scheme, he's probably going to do well. So once again, surprising depth, particularly from the young players. Lemkin, Clamp, he played all right today too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and there were a couple of guys that we won't get into it this episode. A couple of guys that didn't necessarily show up, and that's not necessarily, that doesn't mean they necessarily played poorly. Maybe it's just opportunity didn't flash. We'll save that for Thursday, for Tuesday, our Tuesday night roundtable. But I know you coming in to camp, you were a big fan of Omar Speights. And you thought he had a chance to be a splash linebacker, so to speak. And he looked pretty good, huh?
You got to love the underdogs. You got to love those SEC underdogs, right? So you saw that pass coverage ability, the fire. He made that tackle. He's right away. He's like barking at the moon, right? So that's the type of player you knew you were getting when they signed him. So I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's the underdog pick for me.
Yeah, and you're trying to read between the tea leaves here. Read the tea leaves. So Fatou Kassi, if I'm not mistaken, played the entire first half for the most part. And then Speights played the second half. Troy Reeder did not play at all that I'm aware of.
Hummel played
a lot. So, the way the Rams, I was talking to my son about this, does that mean Troy Reeder has made this roster, or is he dinged up? I don't know. But you're going to have some tough decisions there, and it could, with Ernest Jones nursing that knee, becomes even more important that these guys show. And I think Fatou Kassi played well. He didn't have the moments that Speights had, but, some plays are just more likely to, they just show up on the TV screen. You see it and you go, wow, that was a great play. That doesn't mean that Speights outplayed Fatou Kassi. Maybe Ian can have more information on that when he's done reviewing film for us. Let's see, who else do we have? Miller Forrestall, the guys on the coverage team gave him the player of the game. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. Hey, 3 catches, 20 yards, the game-winning TD, and hey, made a name for himself. If his career ends in a couple weeks, and I shouldn't say that, maybe he'll make this team. Maybe
right.
You never know. He's probably the 4th tight end at this point, or 4th or 5th. But hey, I got to give it to him. He made the clutch catch, and that was quite a throw by Stetson Bennett. I mean, he, that one interception he threw, he had a wide open receiver, and he just came up 10 yards short on the throw. And then he comes back with this throw, running to his left, ducking and throwing to his right, and Forrestall makes the catch. That's kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Stetson Bennett. Even in college, when he was on the move, he was great throwing the ball on the move, but he was a solid pocket passer when he was in college. So in the NFL, everything is faster. And the one thing I think it's interesting is that in the NFL for quarterbacks, it's like trying to find those throwing lanes, and you really can't do like you do in college. You really gotta throw the ball into like a window, right? It's all about timing and anticipation. So that takes time. And to be an NFL quarterback, you have to master that skill. So right now, that's the area that he's probably working on, also reading the defenses. But, like I said, the arm strength and everything else, he really needs to hit the weight room and get into a nutrition program, because it's going to show up in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, he does not. And it's just an observation. If he introduced himself at a barbecue and said, "Yeah, hey, I'm an NFL quarterback," they would probably roll their eyes, have another drink, buddy. But I'm still in Stetson Bennett's corner. I'm pulling for him, and I'm hoping he can establish himself as the third string, possibly second string quarterback, but we'll see more of him. I thought maybe you couldn't go to. My theory is after 4 interceptions, after 3 interceptions, you can't pull them because it's you got to leave him in and just cross your fingers. But I thought Dresser, if he had not thrown the 3 or 4 interceptions, maybe Dresser Wynn gets in for a series, but. That may have to wait till next week, if at all.
You saw that little snippet towards the latter part of the game when they're down to the last play. You saw McVay trying to be positive, so he smiles. You hear him saying to them, like, "Okay, let's go win this game," right? Trying to encourage Stetson to win this game on the last play, in which he did, right? And it was a great ad lib and everything else. So, I think that's something that Ram fans have to be aware of. The Rams are in a very, very sticky scenario. Which is only, I don't even have to say it. Everybody in Ram Nation knows my frustration that this certain quarterback is on our team. He's not there for the first 2 games. So if you don't have a solid backup, even if it's for a couple of plays, if anything, worst case scenario happens, who are you going to roll out there? So that is a very legitimate scenario, which is probably keeping McVay up at night because of this 2-game suspension.
And I think, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and mix in a little DeMarcus, Kyron Williams, Jordan Whittington, Blake Corum, they could make Stetson Bennett look pretty good. I have a feeling.
Quarterback's best friend is a running game.
Yeah, and did you see Blake Corum on the sideline? He really is, he's an imposing person, and just, I don't know, the way he carries himself and his intensity on the sideline. I can't wait to see him play. Glad he didn't play in this one, but I can't wait to see him play. That'll probably have to wait till Detroit, I suppose. So let's save the rest. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about. We'll talk about the backup running back situation, which is developing a little oddly. The way the Rams are handling kickoffs surprised me. Maybe it shouldn't at this point in the preseason. There's a handful of players that maybe didn't, that I was hoping would make some noise that didn't. So we'll talk about those. Anybody that you want to throw props to that I may have left out so far?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I think, like you said, it was good to see the O-line hold up. Apart from the Bo Limmer injury, that was sort of, we're all like this. Hopefully we'll have an update soon. But overall, it was a solid performance. Chris Shula's defense, they toughened up in the red zone. I thought that was impressive. Held Dallas to field goals. So I think that was fantastic. But yeah, overall, I think the players that we cited, we pretty much covered it. Yeah, Boston Scott. I mean, the running back. We'll talk about that on Tuesday, but he played very well today.
Yeah, and if you can have your offense turn the ball over 4 times and you hold the team to 12 points, that's a good day in the office, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great day in the office.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, thanks a lot. Let's we'll see if you and Ian can sync up for a Tuesday night roundtable. Hopefully you can. So we'll talk to you then.
All right, Ram Nation, look forward to it.
Okay, out here. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.